Hey everyone, my name is Devin. I'm a fourth year medical student at Imperial College London. Welcome to my channel. I make videos about student lifestyle, medicine and tech, and so if any of that tickles your fancy, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. So this video is going to be all about busting some UCAT myths, and it's going to be a bit like my busting Imperial myths video, except, you know, about the UCAT. And the aim will be for me to give you guys these myths and misconceptions and then debunk them, and hopefully this will end up with you scoring a higher score in the UCAT. And so without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. The first myth is practice makes perfect. You could have bought thousands and thousands of questions and all these banks and books and resources and courses and all that. To be honest, you probably have bought thousands and thousands of questions, and once you get these questions, let me guess, you're going to go straight into doing these questions, banging out these questions. But it's not going to be helpful because you need to know the actual method, the concepts and the fundamentals of each topic to be able to do them. If you saw a bunch of maths questions, would you jump straight into them? No, you would learn the fundamentals and learn how to actually solve those questions before you attempt the question itself, right? So why not use the same technique here? You need to learn the concepts and work out a certain structure that you can apply to each of these questions. And there's so many different varieties. You could spend all your time just sitting there trying to by chance work out something that works, and you end up with some kind of approach. But what's to say that that's going to work for all the other types of questions? Why not use tried and tested techniques that other people have used and know that they work? So spend all that time to learn the concepts and the fundamentals before attempting these questions. The second myth is going to be pretty straightforward, standard, you've probably heard it everywhere, so I won't go too much into depth, but it's really, really important, and that's why I thought I'd mention it, and that is that you can't prepare for the UCAT. Now that's 100% not true. Well, actually not 100%, it's mostly not true, but and the reason people say that you can't revise for it is because there's no actual set syllabus or content that you have to learn and then apply knowledge. It's not like that, because that's what the BMAT is, but the UCAT is very, very different, and you can still revise for it, but in a different technique, and it's more about practice rather than understanding knowledge and going through a syllabus. And the best place to find out the types of questions that you can have is on the UCAT website, and they have loads of mock papers and they show you all these types of questions that you can get. The third thing is that people say, oh, I'll revise it in 2 weeks, that's all I need, that's what other people use and all that. I don't know what that was, but that is what people say. And the thing is that UCAT is so important, it makes up a huge part of the application process, especially in a lot of medical schools. I think most in the UK have some form of percentage that goes towards the UCAT. I think there's only 5-6 that use BMAT. So you want to ideally do well in the UCAT, right? And there's so many things that you have to do in the summer of year 12. You've got BMAT to do, you've got interview stuff to do, you've got personal statement. Speaking of, I did make a video on that, I would link it over there and also in the description, and there's another thing in the description as well, that is my personal statement. So if you want to have a look at it and download it, make sure you click that link in the description, go check it out. And you've also got to chill, in the summer, that's what summer's all about. But these things kind of take priority because that is the main year where you're applying, so you want everything to be top notch. My point is there's so much to do. You want to get started on the UCAT earlier and spend more than 2 weeks on it. Give it enough time so you can do well. And also starting early will leave you with less stress, and it's a bit more relaxed, and you're probably more likely to do well if you did it earlier rather than later, because the stress kind of just piles up. And speaking of, you don't want to leave the exam till the very end, because then it properly clashes with personal statement, BMAT stuff, near the end of September, October time. I don't know what the deadline is, but it's end of September, I think. And if you leave it that late, then it collides with everything, and then the next year starts as well. So that is definitely not something you want to do. You want to book the UCAT exam, I wouldn't say earlier, the earliest as possible, because I personally wouldn't do that. I'm not one of those guys. I would leave it towards the middle. I'm kind of like the middleman. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you drop a like down below and subscribe if you want more content like this, and also comment down below letting me know that you loved it. The next thing is that the questions are very, very difficult. Obviously this is a very subjective thing, but I don't think the questions are that difficult. The main issue, the main thing that makes the exam difficult is the time pressure. And once you nail that, if you can, then it will make the exam a lot easier. Roughly there's about 20 to 60 seconds per question, depending on your section, which really isn't a lot of time. And the best way to go about that is just practice, to be honest. Practice under timed conditions, and have that method that you can use quickly. Read those questions quickly and multitask, and start working out the questions as soon as you can. To be honest, that's like the best way of doing it. If you can read the question, if your reading speed is quick and understanding speed is quick, you're more likely to be able to solve the questions faster, and that pretty much comes from practice. Something you could do is also use a computer, because they do the exam on the computer. It's not by paper. So practice in a similar environment if possible. This will make it easier for you once you're in the scenario, so you know what it's like. You're not like thrown off guard. The fifth myth is going to be cutoffs are very important. Unless it's explicitly stated on the university that this is the cutoff, you don't want to worry too much, because a lot of those medical schools actually look at your application as a whole. And what I would recommend you to do is research about each medical school and what the requirements are, and then apply tactically to what your score is, whether that's GCSEs, BMAT, UCAT, personal statement. If you think it's up good standard, apply it to your strengths. That's very important. But don't worry about cutoffs per se. As I said before, they look at your application as a whole. And if you perform sort of not so good in the UCAT, then your other application parts can make up for that. That's definitely a thing, because sometimes it's like maybe 10% UCAT, 70% personal statement. If your personal statement is strong, it can make up for that downfall that you had in the UCAT. But obviously it's up to personal judgment. If you feel that your UCAT was like mega low and you really don't think that you're gonna make it there, then that's another thing. Then maybe don't apply. But you can always find out the average by using the Freedom of Information request and see what the average offer holders got, what their UCAT score was, and it gives you a rough idea of what you need to achieve. The average UCAT score is about 620, which isn't too high, and you might hear that, oh, you need 900s, 800s, 700s, all this kind of number. There's no exact cutoff unless it's stated by the university. So take a breather and apply to your strengths. And that brings the video to a close. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below and let me know in the comments that you loved it. Let me know if you want to see future content like this, or what kind of content you guys want to see, and subscribe if you want said content. With that said, I hope you guys have a good day. I've been Devify, and I'm out.